Hey YouTube, RicoKnows here. You guys know the deal. I work all day long. I see some things on Twitter. Pisses me off. So shout out to On3. They came out with this industry transfer portal spring commits ranking of some sort. They show you the top, I'm assuming it's 10 players that have signed in the Big 12. They're telling you these are the best players that have signed in the spring. And I do not believe this at all. I don't understand their rankings. I know it's derived from some type of combination of production and their high school rankings of some sort, because this is absurd. This can't be your top 10. You can't show your face around town calling this your top 10. You can't. I know it's subjective. So I decided to go ahead and just provide some factual things for you guys. But instead of just like popping off names and saying things, I do have my list on Twitter. I put it on the page in response to this. And I want you guys to know, we're not casuals here. I have a top 10, and then I went ahead and ranked probably the next 50 players in order of where I'm ranking them, okay? And some of their top 10 guys are like down here somewhere. I don't know. If we look hard enough, there's Dylan Edwards, their number one guy, somewhere in the middle of my honorable mentions list. So I want to attack this a certain way. So let's go team by team, alphabetical in the conference, and then I'll tell you about their spring portal transfer additions. So if we go in here, and we go to the Big 12, we look at Arizona, we look at their transfers coming in, and then all we're looking for is a date here of April, right, when the portal opened. So we can't go back before April. That would be a winter entry. So here we go. Just a young man coming in, not a big deal. Quarterback coming in from San Jose State. You know the coaching staff, they brought you along. Congratulations. Anderson doesn't move the needle for me. Michael Wooten, not a big deal. Congratulations. You got an Oregon transfer that everybody's excited about. Hasn't played at Oregon, but congratulations. First guy of note, Romello Murphy. That's one that moves the meter for me. Romello Murphy, and look at this, not even on the list below. You guys see the graphic below me, right? Romello Murphy is the leading wide receiver at ODU this last year. He led them in receiving. So you're the best receiver at a group of 5 school, and you can't make this top 10 list. Instead, they put Traquan Fagans down here, who, by the way, Traquan has played about 9 snaps in his life. They put him ahead of you. It's absurd. We're talking about a guy who led an entire team in receiving, and he's going to Arizona to be their 3rd receiver. He's going to get the 3rd best corner on him. He's going to get that JSN treatment. Are you kidding me, bro? This is crazy. Next, we go to Chase Kennedy. Shout out to him coming over from Utah. Nobody else really moves the needle. Boom. Kendrick Riscano coming over from Ole Miss. It's a highly recruited guy, 93, 4 stars. Some love out there. We got a guy, but it's all hype. But let me ask you guys this. How many yards do you think Riscano would have had if he played at Colorado last year? He didn't get to play at Ole Miss. The running back room was stacked. There's NFL running backs in that room, and he was on the bench. But if he played at Colorado, I bet he'd have more rushing yards than Dylan Edwards. Dylan Edwards ain't all that. If he played in the MAC, he would probably had 1,000 yards. Shout out to Penny Boone, who couldn't play at Maryland, but magically you think he's the greatest running back ever. It's the guy who just transferred to be a backup running back. He just transferred to be the number 2 running back at UCF. What are we doing? I don't understand. I don't understand their rankings. They're crazy. Let's keep it moving. I don't want to do every single guy. You guys know me. I'll do every single transfer, and that's not cool. So, if we look and we start here, Chimone Mateer, good kid. I think he had about 20 or so receptions at Cincinnati before he transferred to Colorado. I don't know if it really moves the meter. He's coming over to be a backup tight end. It's fine. Trap, they got him on the list, bro. They got him on the top 10 list coming over from Texas. Yes, he got in the rotation. Yes, he saw the field. Top 10? Nah, I got some other guys. Zach Swanson coming over from Texas, never saw the field. Alton McCaskill, once rushed for 900 yards. In the group of 5. When Houston was a group of 5 school, he rushed for 900 yards. That can't get you on the list? How about if he was at Colorado? Would he be starting over Dylan Edwards if he was healthy? I think so. It's all subjective, but can't get on the list. Instead, you're going to put Traquan Fagans, who's never played. This guy scored 16 touchdowns in a season. If I go like this, let me show you guys something. If I put in look at this. I've looked up everybody, but let's just pull him up, man. This is the guy in 9th on your list. 9 tackles in his life. Oh, but Rico, he played at Alabama, transferred to USC, got 9 tackles. Remember, he redshirted Alabama his first year. Oh, if you didn't know. First year Alabama, transferred, couldn't play there, transferred to USC, got 9 tackles in a terrible defense. Okay? That's what they want me to get excited about. And now he's transferred to UCF, and they're telling me he's a top 10 transfer. The disrespect to players who aren't on your top 10 list. Jeff Sims was the starting quarterback. I know you don't like him. But mess around and find out, dude. Fafo. He started at multiple schools, beat out multiple quarterbacks. He used to start at Georgia Tech before Nebraska. I know he's got turnovers. Shout out to Malik McClain, former Florida State, moved to Penn State, now going to Arizona State. Can't get no love now. These stars just keep going down every transfer. We know why. It's crazy. Let's go look at Baylor. Baylor has some sneaky good transfers. You guys don't know the sneaky good transfers. Sidney Fugart, you don't like him. He's a former FCS guy, but he started some games for South Carolina last year on the offensive line. He really did. Colton's never played at A&M. That's fine. Maybe some special teams. I don't know. Jaquan Evans, 2 years ago, Jaquan Evans was a good player at Western Kentucky. He was actually preseason all-conference last year. Now, he had a fall-off. It didn't get there. But Jaquan Evans is better than Rayan Buell from Ohio. Jaquan Evans better than him. Jaquan Evans once had over 100 tackles in a season. I'm telling you, that guy can play. Snacks Johnson, doesn't move the meter for me. I watch him on tape, not great. Big body, Noel, I had to go find tape on him. Big body, nothing to complain about there. But I'm just telling you, this Jaquan Evans move, if he gets in the starting lineup and gets in the rotation, that man's productive. He's played a lot of football. Okay? Don't ignore it. Let's go to BYU. BYU only got 3 guys. 3 guys this winter. The biggest one is McKay. If you guys don't know McKay Hillstead, he is a true freshman last year at Utah State. Utah State had 3 quarterbacks who looked good throughout the season. They really did. They had 3 running backs who looked good. But Hillstead was so good that when he jumped in the portal, all the Power 5 started calling. All the Power 5 started calling, saying, yo, let's get this kid. 5'10", 170. Nobody wanted him out of high school. He's just got it, man. He can just spin that damn thing. Dude's a player. This dude right here, McKay Hillstead, is a player. And what's crazy is after spring football, Jerry Bohannon is battling with Petrus, maybe? Who's Bohannon battling with? Somebody for the starting job at Utah State. Forgive me. Or I'm sorry, at BYU. Forgive me. No. They're battling with the Razlak kid, the JUCO kid. But coach comes out and says after spring football, we have not named a starter and we're not adding anybody to the quarterback room. We like where we're at quarterback. We're not adding anyone to the quarterback room, and we haven't named a starter. They're going to battle through all of fall. Literally 2-3 days later, they're offering this young man because they didn't know he was in the portal. They didn't know he was going to jump in. This is a local kid. This is a Utah kid. He's good. You want to go out and give praise to any quarterbacks? All these recruit quarterbacks? All these guys have been sitting on the bench? These Eli Holstein type quarterbacks? Walker Howards? You give all those guys praise, right? And you don't talk about the guy who actually got on the field against other players on a Saturday and started spinning that rock and actually played great. I think he played in 2 or 3 games and looked great. He got enough film to start getting offers from everybody. Just saying. Not moved by the other 2 picks. Shout out to them. Picks. Ooh, I've been doing draft picks too much. Other 2 transfers. Let's go look at Cincinnati. Sneaky good transfers coming in to Cincinnati. They've been having to find guys off the radar. It is what it is, but they've been doing a great job. So first, you go out and you get Jake Galday here. Jake Galday is a linebacker from Central Arkansas. Stud. I think he has 2 years of eligibility left. Complete stud. 6'4", 235. They found a good linebacker, and I rated him accordingly. I'm telling you, he's a very good. I don't know these FCS guys. I have to go watch tape on them. I'm an FBS guy through and through. I know all 134 teams. When it gets to an FCS transfer, they get my undivided attention. I will stop and go look for every bit of film I can find on the guy. And when I come across this dude, Jake, I say, yo, that's a monster. That's a gem right there. Same thing with this dude, Trey. Trey Gola Collard. I think he started at one school, transferred up. I want to say it was like St. Mary or something, then transferred to Utah, the Southern Utah Thunderbirds, and then now he's going to Cincinnati. He's just on his journey. You know how they always say go anywhere, they'll find you? He's on his journey. Kid's a player, man. Xavier Lozawicki from Maine got some starting time as a true freshman at Maine. Yeah, he's a starter at Maine. Started some games. This is a former IMG kid. I like his potential a lot. Going to Cincinnati, that's a good move. And then Rutherford, good defensive lineman. Not bad. He's in the rotation. He's one of those guys who's going to plug it up front. I like their whole transfer portal class. Probably not top 10 worthy, except for that Jake kid. The Jake kid's nice. Colorado in the spring, just like in the winter, went out and just littered themselves with top draft pick or top with top transfers. So they have 3 out of the top 10 here. 3 out of the top 10. If I go back and look at my top 10, I've got them 1, 2. I got 2 out of the top 10. Okay, I moved Deion Hayes out of the top 10. Yeah, Deion Hayes is out, but it is what it is. They still have a lot of good transfers. Let's talk about it. I'll start at the top. I don't care. Isaiah Augustive. I already made a video, reviewed his high school film. Go watch the video. It's posted on YouTube. Amazing player. Breakaway speed. Sneaky good. I don't know what Arkansas was doing not putting that guy in the rotation. Just letting you know. Got themselves a little long snapper. Saw him introduce himself to the team. Yikes. Dude's little. Savion Riley. Transfer coming in from Vandy. They say from Miami, but he didn't play at Miami. He's coming from Vandy. I'm not too sold on Savion Riley, but he did play in the SEC. Shout out to him. Johnny Chaney playing at FAMU, trying to increase his draft stock. This is a good linebacker. I think it's good depth. He's a little undersized for linebacker, but they don't have very many like meat-eating linebackers at Colorado, so it's a good transfer. It's not bad. Ivan Yates does not pop on tape for me. Congratulations. He brought in another 5'11 defensive back who I don't think really plays at that echelon. Tafiq Thomas can plug the middle from Louisville. Ethan Boyd. This is a good, sneaky good offensive lineman. People don't realize it. 6'7", 300 pounds-ish, right? And he actually started some games at Michigan State last year. I like Ethan Boyd. He's quiet, though. He's not that alpha male. He's not that dude that's rah-rah barking like all the other dudes. I'm here to take your spot. I'm here to take all them dudes talking shit. I'm here to take your spot, guys. Started games at UTEP, Indiana, Houston, UConn. These guys ain't as tough as they sound. That dude right there started at Michigan State. Go green, go white. I'm with him. Now, he does need to earn his keep. He's still a little young, a little green behind the ears. Zachariah Owens, I'm not too excited about the transfer. A lot of people are talking about it. Clemson transfer, 4-star, he's going to flapjack him, all this stuff. I think he's just going to highest bidders anyways. I don't care. He's a huge man, but to me, he looks overweight. He needs to work on it. Colton Hood, stud. Colton Hood is a stud. He would have been in the top 3 or 4 defensive backs at Auburn if he stayed at Auburn. I hope he gets in the rotation. I like the way this kid plays. He and his brother pop on tape for me. And his brother's a running back coming up from Eagles Landing Christian here in Georgia. Those 2 kids stick out to me. My number 1 transfer in the Big 12, I don't want to hear nothing else. I don't care about some other accolades and some other people. My number 1 transfer from the Big 12 is Nakai Hill-Green. And I called this shit. I didn't know he was going to transfer to the Big 12. But I said this is one of the best linebackers in the portal on a linebacker episode I did well before he was ever associated with Colorado. Okay, I think he initially was going to transfer to UCF, if I remember correctly. My memory, it is what it is. I got thousands of people up here just rotating. So Nakai Hill-Green, when you go watch Charlotte, they had another linebacker, Anoma, who was the worst, a damn criminal on the field. This man is a professional. This man looks like a Sunday player to me. Very stoic, very mature, physically developed. You just see him, he looks yoked. I like this kid, but he used to play at Michigan. Just remember that. He used to play at Michigan, and he used to start. And then things, go following Biff Poggi out there to Charlotte, and he's like, yo, I got to get back in another program. I like him a lot. So my number one transfer. I can interchange probably my top 4 guys, but I really like with him at number 1. Wyatt Hummel does not pop on tape for me. Not excited. Dallin Hayden, it's a good transfer, man. Pound for pound, one of the better running backs transferring to Colorado. They need a running back. He's going to be a starter. I like it more than Penny Boone. Like if Penny Boone transferred to Ohio State, he would not start over Dallin Hayden. So I don't know why you have him ranked higher than Dallin Hayden. I don't understand that. I know the running back room at Ohio State versus the running back room at name it, right? It's just the way I view it. I watched a lot of Penny Boone football. Y'all don't know. We are MVPs. We watch the MAC every single game. I live stream these games with all the MVPs. If you don't know what the MVPs are, if you're a premium member to the channel on Patreon or YouTube and you pay your $25 a month, we live stream games together. I tell you what to bet and you win a ton of money. That's what my guys do. So I roll deep during football season. I have about 2,000 total MVPs and we sit there watching these games. And we've seen everything we wanted to see out of the running back rooms of some of the MAC schools. And I'm telling you, Dallin Hayden's better than all of those guys. He's really good. So I like him. I hope he shows up and plays, straps it up, and does what we need him to do. Rayan Buell, the defensive lineman, he's not bad. Productive in the MAC is a little different from everywhere else, so I'm not too excited about the move. Congratulations. It is what it is. Peyton Kirkland, another recruit. Highly recruited guy at Texas, just didn't pan out. And Texas does this a lot. They throw out some fillers on some people at the end of their 85. And when I say the end of their 85 scholarships, they might have signed all the guys they wanted, and then they have some leftover scholarships they give them to some guys after one season of lifting weights and trying out for the team and trying to prove their acumen and their ability to make the 85. They get cut, essentially. And that's what happens when you start seeing players like this leave a marquee program like Texas after 1 year. They're essentially cut. So this is him saying, all right, I'm from Orlando. I'm not going down in competition. I want to go to another FBS school, so I'll go to Colorado. If you can't play at Texas, you can't play at Colorado, theoretically. So I don't understand the move, but more power to him. Hope he gets developed someday. Deion Hayes, a known stud, a starter, a man who had 4 sacks last year, which was good enough to tie for the lead, or number 2 at Pitt, if I remember correctly. Good player, dependable. You know what you're getting out of him. I got no beef with it. And that's the end of their spring additions. A lot of good players, I think. Only 2 in my top 10, but still. So Nakai Hill-Green and Dallin Hayden are in my top 10. If you look at the top 10 chart below me, they ignore Green completely, and that's ridiculous. That man led Charlotte in tackles. I want to say about 84 of them. So, I could be wrong. Am I wrong? How often am I wrong about a stat? Just a random number. We're going to check. We're going to spot check myself. Never clicked on it before. What did I say? Oh, it's 73. I said 84. 73 tackles. So you got a guy with 73 tackles, used to start at Michigan 2021. You see that? If you go down here and you say, see y'all, 2021 at Michigan, 50 tackles in Michigan. This is a guy who can play anywhere, and you have the nerve not to put him in your top 10. You'd rather put in a guy who has 9 tackles in his life. Like, think about that. This man has 10 times that many tackles in his life. It's crazy. They don't value ability. They got this guy in your top 10. This dude right here looking like, who's that guy in The Simpsons? I forgot his name. You guys know who I'm talking about. He looked like the drunk boxer. Oh, who's the drunk Jamaican boxer? Oh, man. I forgot his name. Yo, that's terrible. I cannot forget my insults. All right, let's go to Houston. Houston transfers. They brought in what? 3 guys, 4 guys, 5 guys, 6 guys? Well, more than that. Okay, my bad. Carlos Allen doesn't stick out on tape. Went and watched all the tape I could. Just a big guy up front, a little short, a little stout. So he looks like a brick to me. Sam Seacrest doesn't stick. Brian Massey been playing a lot of football for SMU. He doesn't really look like a stud because he's small, but he plays a lot of football at SMU. A recruit that didn't quite land is Christian Braithwaite coming over from LSU. They got to feel good about it. Boom, found a stud. So obviously Houston's wide receiver room got gutted by the transfer portal. So they had to go do something, and they found 2 wide receivers, Devin Williams and Marquise Shoulders, out of Tulsa, and Tulsa's got to be pissed. They just lost 2 of their best receivers to Houston. They're very good players. Don't get it twisted. They're very good players. J.D. Rhyme actually played a little bit more than Caleb Hood, or Colton Hood, I'm sorry. So if you're looking for a corner and you're trying to understand how good he is, he's better than the corner that went to Colorado. He got a little bit more playing time. I think he had more upside. He has bigger, more prototypical size. So these are really good signings by Houston. And then Gabe Peterson is a sophomore linebacker out of New Mexico State, and he actually played a fair amount. Now, you're playing side by side with the leader of the team and the team leading tackler, so you don't stick out so much on tape. But when I went back and watched Gabe's tape, I'm like, all right, he's not bad. So all in all, these last 4 guys that they signed are legitimately making Houston better. Right? Houston better. Potential, probably making Houston better, and then potential. But I don't like potential guys in the transfer portal. I like dudes who just straight up enter your 2 deep and make it happen, and that's what I feel with those 4 guys. So there you go there. Let's go to Iowa State. Iowa State has 1 transfer, Eli Green, coming in from North Dakota State. This is coming from the FCS. He's the top receiver. This is great news for Colorado because the Bison just lost their number 1 weapon. And that's good news for them next season in the season opener. But Eli Green going to Iowa State. Iowa State has 2 of their top receivers coming back. Yes, they have Rocco at quarterback. Rocco Becht, the son of Anthony Becht, the XFL coach, former first-round pick by the Jets, tight end. Rocco Becht threw for 3,000 yards. You got to believe in their passing game and what they're doing at Iowa State. So they go out and get 3 receivers. This is their 3rd receiver, Eli Green. They already have Higgins. They already have Joel. Damn it. Can't have names slipping on me, bro. Can't have names slipping on me. This is crazy. I couldn't remember his last name. But here's the point. Eli Green showing up. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. So congratulations to them. I love the transfer. By the way, should be top 10. Should be top 10 below here. This is a guy who's played a lot of football, over 1,000 total yards last season. I want to say 700 or 800 receiving. High number. Very good player. Iowa State found themselves a stud. Go to Kansas. All right. So, Kansas, if you look, they got 2 guys. Amir Herring, I respect. He's an offensive lineman. Went to Michigan initially. Highly recruited offensive lineman. Cool. Didn't pan out at Michigan, so now he's going to Kansas. I bet that's a gem for them, and they're excited about it. But this Joby guy, Joby from Michigan State, how he's top 10 and they got him number 4 down here, I'll never know. I don't understand it. They're just hoping their high school rankings are accurate. They're hoping they get it right. So far they've gotten it wrong. And that's why they do these rankings. Because this guy should not be ranked 4th anywhere. He's a good player. He's dynamic. He looks good in underwear or whatever at a camp. Ain't done shit on a Saturday that you should be talking about. Shouldn't be anywhere near the top 10. Congratulations to Kansas. You got a good recruit. You got a good prospect. There's no productivity there. You're looking at Kansas State. Kansas State signed 3 guys. Dylan Edwards, we know the deal. Dylan Edwards extremely fast. Gonna be their yin to their yang, their little back out the backfield, whatever. To me, not a top 10 guy. They have him number 1. If you're looking at the graphic below, they have him number 1. That's just absurd to me. I don't get it. If that was the number 1 transfer after 300 or 400 yards at Colorado, then what do you value? Because I see that Dallin Hayden got more yards than that at Ohio State. Penny Boone got 1,000 yards. Do you think Dylan Edwards could do those things at those other teams? I don't. I don't get it. Alec Marinecco, this guy right here, he's from El Paso. Shout out to him. Been fighting injuries for the last 2 years. Good linebacker. I think if he's healthy, sneaky good get in the transfer portal. Alec can contribute all day. That's a good player, 60, 70 tackle type of player. But he's been injury prone for the last 2 years. He is undersized, but he's an athletic linebacker who can make plays and find the ball. Taquan Roberson, former starting quarterback at UConn, just transferred in. I'm assuming he's depth to the quarterback room. Not a bad pickup, just nothing to write home about. Oklahoma State. Boom. Oklahoma State comes out and they did really well in the winter. They come out and get 2 guys in the spring. Trent Howland, the 3rd running back Trent Haaland is such a monster, you guys. 6'3", 230. He's maybe 240 when I watch him on tape. He didn't get to start all year for Indiana last year. He didn't start till the end of the year, and he started dominating. And he was getting first downs, and that's the reason Indiana started losing games closely. Now, I know that's crazy to say. They weren't winning games, but they weren't getting blown out anymore. And it's because their offensive possessions were lasting longer because of Trent Haaland. Once they discovered, hey, we got a real running back here. This guy can do it. He was getting first downs, which leads to touchdowns, which kept them close in games that they normally aren't in. They're winning games because of Trent Haaland. So his coaching staff gets fired. Shout out to Tom Allen. And he jumps in the transfer portal immediately. And the first team he was going to sign with was Minnesota. And I was very critical of that because Minnesota already has Darius Taylor, already has Say Bangura, just transferred in from Ohio. They got two 1,000-yard rushers. They don't need you. They got two guys that are NFL caliber. They don't need you. It's a waste of a transfer. You just left a crowded Indiana room where they didn't know who you were and how good you were. And it just sucks. So what he did was he actually pulled back out of the portal, shout out to him, and then stayed with Indiana for the spring. But what he found out when you stay at Indiana is they have a ton of running backs that just showed up from JMU. JMU brought 3 running backs from their running back room. They don't care. Kirk Cignetti said, yo, I like all these guys at JMU. They all deserve scholarships. They're all better than anything Indiana's got. He brought in all his own guys. Now, I don't necessarily know if they're all better than what Trent Haaland is. So Trent Haaland, after the spring, sees a little bit of the fact that, I'm probably not going to get the carries I envisioned. Then he hits the transfer portal, and now it just becomes, where do you want to go? And he goes to become the 3rd running back at Oklahoma State. Maybe he's the 2nd running back. I don't think he is, right? They already have A.J. Green down here. A.J. Green is a very dynamic running back. We know they got Ollie Gordon, but A.J. Green is a speed back, and he flipped. He was going to go to Tulsa, but then he flipped to Oklahoma State. This man can run a 10-400 meters. At least he did in high school. This man is stupid fast. So when you have Ollie Gordon and then you have the speed back, Green, where do you fit in, Trent Haaland? You're the 3rd running back. You're the battering ram at the goal line. They got Ollie Gordon for that. He's a good battering ram as well. So it just didn't make sense on the transfer move. He's still young. He still has eligibility. Maybe he's planning for 2 years from now. The move doesn't really impress me all that much, but he's not a bad player. Next is Gavin Freeman. Actually got to play last year at Oklahoma. Really low yards per catch. I think it's under 10. So it's nothing too great. Now, Oklahoma State, their wide receiver room gutted by the transfer portal 2 years ago. Presley obviously stayed because Brendan Presley is Oklahoma State. Had over 100 receptions. When you got a receiver with over 100 receptions and he's not leading the country in receiving, that means they're just getting him the ball any way they can, and rightfully so. The Presley brothers are royalty. Shout out to Big Spee. They are everything about Oklahoma football that you want to know and see. Shout out to Gavin Freeman. Going to join the family, but not top 10 worthy. These guys aren't out there. TCU did good in the transfer portal this spring, and people don't realize it. First thing they did was they go out and get James Brockermeyer. The Brockermeyer twins went to Alabama initially. James Brockermeyer in spring football. I watched the spring practices, game, everything. While at Alabama, he was running with the first ones. He was running with the ones. But they're from Texas. This is a Texas family. I want to say dad played at either TCU or Texas. They're all Texas born, bred, and made, or whatever you say. So coming back to TCU makes sense. I think it's a good get by TCU. They got themselves a stud. Hakeem coming over from Houston, another big piece up front that they need. I don't know if they're still running that 3-3-5 defense, but they need to find players to fit that scheme. Austin Jordan actually saw the field while at Texas in the rotation, so that's not a bad player to get, and he's still young. And then Dominic Johnson. They just hired the Arkansas running backs coach. I believe his name is Jimmy Smith. My memory always escapes me, but the running backs coach left Arkansas, went to TCU. This is one of his running backs. He brought him with him. And Dominic Johnson did see the field last year while at Arkansas. Got about the same amount of playing time as Isaiah Gustav, who just went to Colorado. So Dominic Johnson looks like a good running back. Yes, he's big. Yeah, 6'1", 240. He's big. He's a bowling ball. He's a problem. I'm sure TCU is pretty excited about their spring additions. Texas Tech signed one player, former 4-star, Mikael Harrison Pilot, supposed to be all potential. I don't know if he's a defensive back or a wide receiver. I think I listed him as a defensive back. If he's a wide receiver, that's my bad. I have a typo on the chart, on the tweet that I made earlier. It happens. I got a lot of names up here, but not a bad get for Texas Tech. Their wide receiver room's loaded, though. I'm glad they talked him into it. UCF, they dominated the transfer portal this spring. There's just no way around it. UCF dominated the transfer portal this spring. If you look at it, and we're going to start down here trying to find it. First guy, Cedric Hawkins, went to Ohio State, can actually play some decent football. Not bad. Good recruit. Coming back home to Florida. Good stuff. Nigelette Kelly. I just call him Kelly, bro. I can't do all the. Nigelette Kelly is one of those guys that they keep ranking extremely high. You see him on the chart below me, 5th place. What's impressive about him is he's an edge rusher who got playing time as a true freshman, and I think he had 4 sacks his true freshman year. Last year, kind of regressing with the new coaching staff, so he's looking to revitalize his career and himself, and there you go. Go to UCF. They need you. They want you. Looks like a good prospect. I would say he's a very good prospect. Traquan Fagans, once again, an Alabama guy, transferred to USC, has 9 tackles in his life. I don't know why they're ranking him so high. Not impressed. Ja'Cory Brown, this is when being loyal to your coaching staff just doesn't pay off, man. That's all I can say. Ja'Cory Brown, coming out of high school, for me, one of the best quarterbacks that I saw. Right, and I watched a lot of guys. Guys, I'm in Georgia. I go to games. I go watch these players play. And Ja'Cory Brown, first time I ever saw him, his sophomore year was against Marietta in the state championship game. His team was trash. They had this linebacker. I forgot what he was called. Oh, it was like the Greek something. I'd forget it, man. It doesn't matter. They had nobody. Not anyone that can compete with Marietta. Marietta's running back was Kamani Vidal. Their wide receiver was Ricky White, who's one of the leading receivers at UNLV. The quarterback was Harrison Barnes, who went to Tennessee, UNLV, and Louisville. Their tight end was Eric the, I don't want to say, how do I say this? He was the vape king. He was the vape addicted man who kept robbing vape stores recently. But yeah, so like they had an all-time great team, and I'm probably missing some other players. Oh yeah, B. Joel Jolari, LSU, just got drafted, so or just went to the NFL. So that team was amazing, and Ja'Cory Brown was the only kid out there that could even compete with him. And then you watch Ja'Cory play his whole college career or his whole high school career, and he did well. And then he goes to Miami. And they just keep bringing in other quarterbacks, and they don't respect him. He obviously lost out for the 3rd quarterback position, so now you transfer. And I wish he would have transferred to a school that needed him. Instead, he transfers to UCF. They don't need him. They don't need him. They're going to put him on the bench. He's not KJ Jefferson. I wish he would have went to Georgia State. They just lost Darren Granger. They needed a quarterback. That feels like the move for him. Georgia Southern, Georgia State, Jacksonville State. Something to that effect. I just want to see these kids on the field. I just want to see them play. I'm really excited for him. Penny Boone coming in. You guys know the deal. I'm not sold on Mac production for the most part, but he's a guy who went out there and dominated at Toledo, ended up spending the spring with Louisville, and then he goes to the highest bidder at UCF. Jacoby Jones. This is a Mac wide receiver, but it's a little different because Rourke had a bad year last year, and Jacoby Jones still played great. This is a big receiver, 6'2", 200 pounds. He is a mismatch nightmare. I think he's got the potential to be the answer. They lost Javon Baker to the NFL draft. That was an Alabama transfer. They need other receivers. They've been signing some, and this is one of those answers. I like Jacoby Jones. I hope he shows up and shows out. That's a good player. Sheldon Arnold. Hey, East Tennessee State. Now, I know East Tennessee State for reasons you guys don't. Shout out to Chris Hope, one of the team's leading tacklers, if not the team's leading tackler, friend of the channel, reached out to me for a film review. I did a film review on him, and while I did it, I said, yo, who's your teammate over there? Sheldon Arnold is good. He had 4 interceptions this year. I like those kids. Both of them can play at the FBS level. I was advising Chris Hope this offseason, and I know he didn't jump in the portal, but I was advising him, and I know that he is FBS caliber. So shout out to all of them. Sheldon Arnold, good pickup for UCF in the secondary. Keegan Smith used to start for the Chippewas at Central Michigan. He can come in and contribute. I don't know if he's a starter at UCF, but he's a good player. Mac McWilliams, stud. Team captain, bro. young team captain at UAB. I like team captains. You go to another school, you become a vocal leader. You lead by example. You know what it takes. Another great stud, but he is a little undersized. When you're 5'10 and you're a corner, a little undersized. But that's a bad little dude. I like him a lot. Javaris Johnson, one of the leading receivers at Auburn last year, and Auburn has terrible quarterback play. Now you join UCF. I like it. Just small. But it's all good. UCF dominated the spring transfer portal. Probably the best spring transfer portal of any team off the top of my head right now. I like it a lot. Now, I tell you they got the best. But if there's a team out there that signed the best pound for pound, Utah. Utah went out and got 3 players. 3 players in the transfer portal, and they're amazing. So first you get Damian Alford, one of the top receivers at Syracuse. Syracuse quarterback play last year, gross. There were games they had Villari at quarterback, their tight end. He used to be a quarterback, like a 5th-string quarterback, transferred in from Michigan, converted to tight end. And so now you got a tight end playing quarterback the last 2 or 3 games last year. We bet the under on them every week. I told MVPs, just go under. Just go under. Just go under. They got no offense. They couldn't do anything. They couldn't throw the ball, and they were trying to run. And shout out to Allen. They had a great running back in Allen. But when I watch Damian Alford, I think if he gets in the right offense, he's a problem. That man is 6'5". He should be on this top 10 list. He should be on this top 10 list, hands down. No fucking ifs, ands, worries about it. Like, seriously. Good wide receiver with a terrible quarterback, and he still made it happen. Paul Fitzgerald. I don't know how you disrespect Paul Fitzgerald like that. He redshirted 2022, 2023, redshirt freshman last year, 8 sacks. 8 sacks on a Saturday. I don't care who you're playing against. 8 sacks on a Saturday. You better respect it. That dude's him. Paul Fitzgerald is a beast. And it eases the pain of losing Canius Vaughn down here, who was a 6-sack guy, who left UTEP to come to Utah, but then he jumped back in the portal. He's gone. Then they go and get former 5-star quarterback Sam Howard. Now, Sam Howard, quarterback, comes from a quarterback family. I don't know. He didn't play well. He did not play well. He went and followed his old high school coach to Cal Poly. Didn't play well. And that's all I can tell you about it. So I don't give a shit how many stars you used to be. What have you done for me lately? But Utah found themselves some pretty good players in the portal. And the last team, West Virginia, absolutely cleaning up shop. Let me say something to you guys. They got 3 players. Dantes Fagan coming over from Charlotte, good player. He's a good player. I think he was honorable mention all conference. Dude, the guy can play football. I'm so impressed with him, and this is what you guys need to understand. I watch film, right? So I'm watching film on Fagan, and then I go, okay, good player. Write down my notes. Well, I don't write it, but I type it in on my Excel spreadsheet. I'm like, all right, Fagan, good. And then I get to this dude, Tarnu. Kokora Tarnu. I don't know his whole story. Somebody sent it to me in a DM. I got to make a video on it. I got to do more research. They sent me his whole life story. Rico, this is the underdog. This is a man coming out of high school. He's an African. He's from Africa, if I remember correctly. An African refugee. Plays high school ball, I think, in Minnesota. Goes the JUCO route. Shows up first year, Jacksonville State. And everybody knows the deal. This dude's a problem. I think he's an NFL player right now. I think he's an NFL prospect right now. If I had a chance to sit down with NFL scouts and said, hey, yo, is this guy on your radar? They're going to tell me yes, 100%. The tape between Fagan and Tarnu. Remember, I watched Fagan, who's good. I watched this man. And then I go turn on the tape and look at Tarnu. It was night and day. That's the best player. Now, I didn't put him number 1 on my chart for a couple of reasons, but he's number 4. Even these knuckleheads had to put him number 5 or 6. They put him 6. They put him 6th, and he has no recruiting stars. They only gave him 3 stars, and he's somehow 6th among all these 5 stars, among all these 4 stars. Among all these hype dudes, they said, oh, well, we can't put that guy. That guy's got to be on the chart. This is a great player. West Virginia just knocked it out the park. And you got big shoes to fill, right? Beanie Bishop led the country in passes deflected last year, and Beanie Bishop's gone. You had transfers, Anthony Wilson coming in from Georgia Southern last year. You got to find answers in that secondary, and they did it in the spring. And then you go and find the biggest receiver you can get, Justin Robinson, 6'4", 220, former 4-star player. Shout out to Eagles Landing Christian again. That's all Georgia, bruh. Superstars. And this is a man who was at Michigan State. Yeah, he was doing okay. I'm sorry, Mississippi State. He was doing okay, but they lost their coach. They lost their swagger. They lost everything. When you look at West Virginia's offense, it is a play-action offense, an option offense. It is a quarterback that can run his ass off. If you don't know Garrett Green, he's the baddest little white dude in the world, okay? Garrett Green is him. And watching them last year, the thing that they had to discover was a big play threat down the field. Now, they found one. Okay, they found it in a true freshman later in the season. But they had Devin Carter transfer in from NC State. Tall, slender, and he could just have problems. Like, he can just beat you on one-on-one matchups. He's winning every jump ball. They have that answer right here with Justin Robinson. They're duplicating the same thing. I really like West Virginia's transfer portal class. I like the way they look this year. They're one of my favorite teams in the top 25. One of my favorite. So they found themselves an NFL corner, a very quality corner, and then a wide receiver that can go and do some things. That's three guys. Probably, I said Utah was the best pound for pound. Nah, my bad. Take that back. West Virginia got the best transfers in the Big 12 pound for pound. Yep, they got three guys that are absolute monsters. It's a good thing to have. You know, it's a good problem to have. So if you guys want to see the full list, I just went through all the guys. But if you want to see my full list and my top 10, it's right here. It's on Twitter. RicoKnows, TikTok, all one word. We currently have 4,800 followers. Not a big deal. Got about 20-something thousand on YouTube and then 180,000 on TikTok. All together, with my MVPs and everything else, we're talking over 200,000 people every day. I'll take it. Hopefully you guys stay informed. Stop going to recruiting sites, recruiting for dummies. These on-3s, these 24/7s. The only thing I use them for is a picture. They got a picture of the player. That's the only thing I use them for. Don't use them for any factual information. Don't quote their stats or their rankings. And this includes PFF. I've been tearing up PFF every day for the last 3 or 4 months. Crickets, bro. They're crickets. At least Rivals had the nerve to write to me and say thank you for all the corrections. Right? At least Rivals has the audacity to tag me, write me, and say thank you for the corrections. But these other websites, they're all threatened. And the 24/7 writers sending me DMs and reaching out to me, hey, all you guys can pound sand. I don't fuck with you. We ain't friends, bro. I see you, this furniture moving. You guys been telling lies and putting lies on these kids' names for years. You've been missing on players. You keep calling these players 5 stars, and when they don't equate to 5 stars, you put the blame on the kid. You put the blame on the player. You call him a bust. You say he's not 5 stars because he doesn't have work ethic and he's a bust. What the hell are you labeling this guy a 5-star when he didn't have work ethic, when he didn't have that ability? You missed. The player didn't miss. You missed calling him a 5-star. And don't get me started on how many times you've missed on 3 stars and 4 stars and 0 stars. Your star system is broken, bruh. And your fucking rankings make me sick. Your friends don't know, but Rico knows. Peace, y'all. Stay up.